About 1 in 3 American kids and teenagers is overweight or obese, making childhood obesity the #1 health concern among parents. They're more worried about that in some cases than drug abuse and smoking. So are we inadvertently lending to our children's obesity? Dr. Aguila is an obesity and weight loss specialist joining us this morning. Hi, Dr. A, as you like to be called. Good morning to you.
Thanks for having me.
So what are we doing as parents sometimes that may be causing our children to associate these great foods with great emotions, therefore making us obese?
Absolutely. Parents are the example. That's the one thing you have to remember. And if we teach them from very early on, clean the plate. Remember, I don't know if you were taught that as a kid. I was taught that as well.
Well, yeah, my parents came from the Depression, and they said, you know, we didn't have the food, so you eat the food now.
Exactly. But how big were the plates back then? They were much smaller. They were half the size of what they are now. The portions were half of what they are now. So if you clean the plate now, you're going to take a tremendous amount of calories. Plus the fact that we also used to tell them, hey, you know, if you don't clean your plate, you're not going to get dessert, right? So now we're adding even more calories to the dessert, and desserts today are even bigger.
Do you recommend that parents just not serve dessert at all, or maybe, how about fruit?
I think fruit, of course, is very important to serve, but you know, if you're going to do dessert, do it on the weekends, do it maybe for a special occasion or when you go out to eat or something like that. Make it something special and share it, because remember, desserts are very big, so you want to share it. But more importantly is let kids eat until they feel satisfied. Okay, that's the important thing. Feel satisfied. Not overfilled, not clean the plate, feel satisfied.
Okay, you know, I'm a parent of 2 children, 4 and 6 years old, and I know there's some who have even younger, and they think, well, but they're not eating enough. Are they eating enough?
Oh, yes, they are.
A lot of times, you know, they pick and that's it.
Oh, kids know from very early on when they feel full. But also, if they're picking a lot at dinner time or at lunchtime, be careful, because what kids do is they graze all day long, and that's not good either. We're teaching them to do that as adults, too. And this is another issue why we have obesity.
All right, one of the problems is that kids sometimes turn to food to make them feel calm. That's why a lot of adults do. It makes you feel good when you're stressed out. How do you encourage them to do something else or not to do that?
Well, kids don't turn to food to feel calm. They learn that from their adults, from their parents. And if they see dad, you know, sitting in front of the TV, eating a bag of chips while watching TV because he's had a stressful day, kids are going to learn to do that. And then when they grow up, or when they get stressed, or they go to college and they're facing a situation where they have a lot of stress, they're going to make that same connection.
And you speak from experience.
Absolutely. I was obese myself. Not only am I a surgeon and operating people who are obese, but I suffered through it too for 10 years. I was a binge eater. And I learned a lot of what I teach other people and other patients and what I wrote in Why I Don't Lose Weight because I lived it.
So what did you do to lose the weight, and what can we tell our children when it comes to the snacks and the sweets?
I learned to disassociate food with emotion. It took some time, but it's doable. It's absolutely doable. And the way I did that was finding out what the triggers were that caused my anxiety and my depression. This is what I call the cycle of obesity. When we start to learn to medicate ourselves with food to control our anxiety and depression, then we overeat. That overeating causes increasing guilt. That increasing guilt is going to cause us to give us more anxiety, more depression, more overeating. And now we're in a cycle. And now to break the cycle, you're actually going to hit the triggers. Best thing to do is don't let the kids make that association between food and emotion in the first place. Yeah. And therefore you don't get into the cycle later on.
If they do something great, don't give them a cookie, according to Dr. A, and also make outdoor activities a part of your family life. I have a friend who every night before bedtime, they go on a bike ride with their son. Why I Don't Lose Weight from Dr. Aguila. You can pick it up online. Thanks so much for joining us this morning.